So good morning to everybody. Welcome to this plenary session. We are going to talk about the international convergence on the standards on sustainability reporting. So we have very important speakers that after I'm going to introduce you. And so just to present all the speakers. So the session is aimed at public authorities and professional association, auditors, of course, auditing firms, conformity assessment bodies, and professionals. And during the session, there will be the presentation of the agreement between the International Accreditation Forum and the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants. Also, during the session, our speakers are going to present the proposal for International Ethics Standard for Sustainability Assurance, which includes also international independence standards. And there will be also a remote presentation. I think, yes, the speaker is not here, but is connected online, and is going to present the draft of the PDR, the reference practice between Accredia, Diligentia, and of course UNI, on the conformity assessment of sustainability reporting in accordance with the CSRD. Okay, I'm going just to present you a few slides just to introduce the topics. Going just to share the slides, a few slides to introduce the subject. Since we are talking about sustainability reporting, it is worth now introducing which are the main subject, the main regulators, the international level on sustainability reporting. So you see from the slides, I will not take much time because we are very important speakers, but just to remember to all of us that we have in the international level many actors who are playing in this role in regulating sustainability reporting. So we have the International Sustainability Standard Board, we have the, of course, the EFRAG in the EU context, and the Global Reporting Initiative that we all know, of course. So there is this strange situation in which we have many players competing now in the regulation of sustainability reporting. We were talking with some speakers before the beginning of this session. This is a different approach, from the one we had in accounting, the accounting context. In the accounting context, the European Union started regulating financial reporting in Europe with the accounting directive, the 4th and the 7th accounting directive, and the 8th accounting directive. But then in 2002, the European Union changed its approach. So an institution which has been elected democratically chose to provide the mandate to the International Accounting Standard Board. So the issue and the topics of financial reporting was delegated to the International Accounting Standard Board, which is a private organization, non-profit, but private organization. Here we have a complete different approach because the European Union has chosen to regulate this subject by itself, asking to the EFRAG institution to issue the standards, to elaborate the standards that European Commission has approved we know the Delegated Act of the 31st of July 2023. So I'm going just very quick now, just to remember the governance of this regulator. So we have the EFRAG. So this is the path, the European path towards standards on sustainability reporting. We see that we have the EFRAG, which was already established to consult European Commission on accounting standards. Now, its role was the endorsement of international accounting standards. Now, it has a specific role we all know about on sustainability reporting. This was the European level. At the international level, we all know a very important moment in which, in the COP26, there was the official endorsement of the ESSB, which is a part of the IFRS, as a regulator at the international level for the sustainability reporting information. So ESSB is now a part of the IFRS Foundation. IFRS Foundation was very well known and is well known, of course, for international financial reporting standards. But now we can see that there are two parts. We have the International Accounting Standard Board. Of course, it is the body that is issuing accounting standards, and we have the International Sustainability Standard Board, which is going to regulate the sustainability reporting. Nevertheless, we have to be aware that the issue of sustainability reporting is quite complex. See, for instance, all these merge and acquisition, we could say, because the task force on climate-related financial disclosure was acquired by IFRS, the same for the Sustainability Accounting Standard Board, and the Value Reporting Foundation. So the integrated reporting principles are now part of the sets regulated by IFRS. So many actors, many subjects, very complex situation, we can say, at the international level. In Italy, we have the Organismo Italiano di Contabilità, which is the standard setter for accounting, which has been delegated by the law number 15 in 2022. Anyway, this is the context of regulation for sustainability reporting standards, and the issue which is derived from reporting standards is the assurance issue. And this table, we are going to talk about assurance, of course. We all know the CSRD, and there are some parts of the CSRD, especially Article 26, which is talking about the assurance, limited assurance in the first few years and reasonable assurance afterwards. It is talking about the actors that are going to provide assurance services, and this is a very complex and hot issue, I would say now, and it will be debated by our speakers as well. Here you see just the CSRD position, because CSRD recognized that statutory auditors or audit firms already verify the financial statements, so the assurance of sustainability reporting by the statutory auditors or audit firms would help to ensure the connectivity between the financial and sustainability information. But nevertheless, the CSRD, you see, takes a very clear position once it says that it is desirable to offer undertakings a broader choice of independent assurance service providers for the assurance of sustainability reporting. So this is why the CSRD is is asking member states to allow, or to decide if to allow to independent assurance providers to provide an assurance opinion on sustainability reporting. So this is now a role that each member state should carry out to decide if to extend or not. This is something that we are going to talk with our important speakers. Just a few words on the Diligentia Observatory. We have un osservatorio, so observatory on sustainability reporting. We are providing comments on draft standards. We provided the comments on the draft standards on ESRS, on draft standards of IFRS. We are starting now with some studies and researches. We are currently providing and organizing webinars on single issues of sustainability reporting, and we are going to organize, as Diligentia, of course, some training activities. Just to remember that, and this is one of the topic of our speakers, that Diligentia was very important to provide an impulse for the PDR, the reference practice on the conformity assessment of sustainability reporting. This is something that will be will be dealt in the session by one of our speakers. This is just the list of webinars that every 3 weeks, around 2 or 3 weeks, we are in Diligentia, we are organizing and discussing single topics on standards on sustainability reporting. Okay, this is just a preview, of course, of the main topics that we are going to talk. Now, I'm going to introduce, stop this microphone, of course, one that I'm going to use. So we are going to start our session with first speaker is Emanuele Riva. I'm going to present some biography about him. He is the IF chair from 2021. He was vice chair before, since 2015. We know the organization that brings together all the accreditation bodies and interested parties operating the world in the certification, verification, and validation activities. He was Deputy General Manager and Director of the Certification and Inspection Department of Accredia, in Italy, the single national accreditation body, and he's Vice President of the Uni Commission for Conformity Assessment, lead assessor for Accredia, and many other things, a very important profile and CV. And so Emanuele is now going to talk about the role of accreditation in the world of sustainability reporting. Now, so the word to Emanuele.
Thank you. So thank you for the presentation. So I will give you short introduction of what is IF, and that we go into the point of today's discussion. Let's see if it works. Yes. I'd like to start with, we are in Rome, so I'd like to start with something that is from Rome. Omne ignotum pro magnifico, Tacito. So everything that is unknown is sublime. Why I'm talking about this? We are entering in a new country for us. I mean, accreditation activities are always be working in a separate path according to accounting firms. We are doing more or less the same job, but in a different way. And we always know that there is also the other part, but we never be able to talk each other, to be in contact. And it's like when you make a journey. When you make a journey, you see something that is different. You see different solutions from the same things. So it's very, 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 very nice to see that for the same thing, audit firms arrive to different solutions for historical reason, legislation reason. Now, I will give you some examples so you will understand. Let's start to say what we do. We work in many fields, in the most of the case under authorization of the states. We see here some example for forest, organic, laboratory controls, and so on. So we are under the controls of many things in the world. IF is the international organization that brings together more or less 120 countries. You see here the number of the members. IF is organized regionally. We have in Europe EA. You see EA, that is the European network that has a contact, a relationship with the European Commission, a mandate from European Commission. And of course, in Italy, we have Accredia. So we have in a different level. And Accredia is the one, is the body, the single body that deals with accreditation under the authorization of the Ministry of Made in Italy. Our activity is recognized firstly by WTO, and this comes from the TBT agreement of 1995. We have just received last month another important guidelines of conformity assessment procedure. Everything starts in 1995, and after we had also recognition from UNECE. So what we have done, what IF did, and now what we are doing. We already have been able to publish a statement, also with the help of Cesare Saccani that is here, this corporate sustainability information. This put the first point. The point is that 1729 is the standard for verification of the claims. This is the starting point. We work using standard, different standard for different activities. Maybe this number has no meaning for many, but for us is specific, describe specifically what is the job to do. So this is important for our community. So we have been able to reach an agreement on which is the right standard to use. After that, we have been able to have an agreement. I don't know how to use the right word. An agreement with IESBA. This is because we realized that we cannot compete on the principles, on ethical principles. So whoever will do the job has to do the job in the same way. This is our approach. Our approach, it means the same way by ethical point of view, but it is not in the case, also by the competence point of view. So we think that the integrity of the people has to be the same, no matter who is making the job. So this is why we did an agreement with IESBA. The point of the agreement is that if it's required in a scheme, in a program, it's possible to use the IESBA code. So the IESBA code can be used for the verification in sustainability reporting. So this is a way to demonstrate that we are open to work at with the same rules. However, we realize that there are differences because, as I said, we started working in a different way. We have a different history, and also we are working in many fields, and not just only as the accounting firm in one topic. We work in many topics, and so we realize that it is needed to have a bridge between the two worlds. I'll give you some examples. Audit community has a prescriptive document. This is the code. That is a huge document, 300 pages more or less, very detailed. We have instead principles. We have standards that are based on Anglo-Saxon approach. So principles and the interpretation of the principle are given by the accreditation body, the regions, and by the international organization as IF. So we have a technical committee that decides specific cases. So we have a really different culture. So we are not prescriptive, but we remain in the guidelines. So now, using the code, we are changing the approach. For example, in the code, there are details on the gift, on the hotels, the use of technology. We don't have this. We have just only principles that say you have to be impartial, stop. It's not needed to go in details for us, but instead the audit firm went really in detail. So this is different. Also for the competence, we have something that comes from Roman law that says that the person is guilty when he's not doing the job with competence, caution, and diligence. We have these principles in our job, and we are thinking about the risk. In the other approach, there is a difference between a public institution and private institution. The difference is on the body. The disclosure. We are working with a client, and if there is a problem, we say the problem to the client. In the audit firm, they have the duty to make a disclosure to the authorities. So this is a different approach, this one. They talk about skepticism, we talk about objective evidence. They are more focused on independence, we are more focused on impartiality. All the internal audit are possible, sometimes for audit firm, for us is absolutely not possible. So there are some difference between the two approaches. This is why it's important to make a bridge document. This is the next step, what we have to do. And this will be useful to demonstrate the equivalence of what we do, so to give an assurance to the authorities that we are working in the same way. The most of the case is a matter of terminology, because we are using different words to say the same thing. But sometimes, of course, there is something more than just only a methodology. Another thing that is important to recognize the value also of what is done under accreditation, because in the most of the case, this is done under authorization of some authorities. I'm speaking from Accredia point of view. When Accredia was founded 10 years ago, after the merging of other accreditation bodies, the most of the activities were voluntary. Now, more or less, 70% is under authorization of some ministry or regulation from European regulation. So it changed a lot. The most of the things that are accredited for a public service, for a public reason. So the next point, next goal will be for us to have this bridge document, and this will be also useful for our community to explain how to operate, because it's something new for us also. So it's important also to give correct information to the actors, to the players, how to deal. And also, we have to consider that in future, we will work with joint audit. So we will see people from audit firm and people from certification body working together. And these people have to understand each other. Today, it's difficult to understand and to speak each other. So we need a document that can help this dialogue between the two worlds. Otherwise, they will not be able to provide the service to the client. So we'll have the one client that needs the effort from two different worlds. So just to close, so we need this document. That this will be, this is the commitment for IF. We are starting to do this. I hope this will be done in 6 months. And of course, we will ask to IESBA to help us to integrate, to adjust, and to put also their knowledge in our document for the future. So this is our contribution to this activity, and I hope that with this document will be easier for everybody to understand each other and to start this dialogue that we know we were talking before. Will take years. We are just starting. It will take years to understand each other and to arrive to a same approach. We have different culture, different countries, different people. So it's a matter of really to change the mindset of many people. So it will be not easy, but this is a journey we just started. Thank you.
Yes. So thank you, Emanuele, for providing us this important agreement, this document that it is creating a bridge between two different worlds, and so the need also to have a common language, a common document to share for understanding each other. So coming back to my previous presentation, I was talking about the CSRD, and we all know that CSRD is allowing each member states to extend the number of subjects that are going to provide assurance services. And so what do you think in terms of the impact on the public finance, the impact on regulators, which could be the impact of this kind of extension? So in terms of the cost for the national states?
For the national states, there is no extra cost because Accredia is already working and with his resources, so there is no additional cost to the states. We have 9 ministries that are members of Accredia already now, so it's well established since more than 10 years. So there is no extra cost for the countries. There is advantage that you have if you have more players in doing the same job. You can have an improvement. A good this dialogue is starting to think, to have innovation. Also, when I read the code, I had ideas. So because it's good to see different solutions for the same thing. So you have ideas. This is the good thing. If you have more people working in the same field, this could be beneficial for the market, beneficial also for the companies, beneficial for the players, because you have more contribution, more solutions. That is what is needed now in the world that is very complex. And in the sustainability means everything. Nobody has the knowledge of everything. This has to be recognized. It's impossible to, in audit firm was lucky, we can say, because they had the possibility to have people authorized by the state with the license, with the official authorized. So it was easy to say, okay, you have this license, you can work, you are competent. For us, it's not the case because we don't have specific authorization for everything. So the understanding of the specific knowledge for what you are doing is very, very difficult for us. So this is important. This is why important. We have more people working together.
Okay, thank you very much. Your message is clear and I would say also effective, also in terms of the non-impact, in terms of the public finance of this possible extension. So now we are going to see the other side. You were talking about the agreement between 2 different organizations, and now we have Ken Siong. We thank you for your availability to come here and to be available to speak to our conference. And Ken Siong is the director of the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants, and he manages and oversees the IESBA work program, including its strategic and operational activities. He also plays a key role in developing and strengthening the IESBA relationship with its broad range of stakeholders. He has been in international auditing and ethics standards setting for 22 years. Previously, he worked in audit practice in the UK, Singapore, and Hong Kong. And so he's going to talk now about the new IESA standard, so International Ethics Standard for Sustainability Assurance. Maybe going to. Okay.
Well, good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm Ken Siong, and I'm the Program Senior Director at IESBA. It is my pleasure to be here and to have been invited by my good colleague, Cesare Secani. And thank you also to Professor Marco for the introduction. I send the warm regards of my board chair, Gabriela Figueiredo-Diaz. She, in fact, wasn't able to come to the conference, to this forum today because she's still in Japan. Where in fact I just came yesterday, but we had a series of intensive meetings with Japanese stakeholders over the course of the week. I'd like to spend a few moments to just speak about who IESBA is. Thank you for moving this. So this is a bit of an overview of our board. We are an international board. Just see here, to move to the next slide. Okay, I think we're back. So about IESBA, this is our board as it stands today. We are a board of 17 members with members coming from 15 different jurisdictions. Our chair, as you can see, is Gabriel Figueroa de Diaz on the screen. Our vice chair is Laurie Ansley from the United States. But this board essentially has been in operation for the last 20 plus years. And it is headquartered in New York, where we have basically all our operations and our board meetings. Our board meetings are open to the public, and we meet once a quarter. Let me just paint a bit of a picture in terms of the global governance, oversight, monitoring structure around our board. Our board came into existence as 20 years ago, but if one were to go back into history, really the origins of our board were in the establishment of the global accounting profession. Our board's predecessor was International Ethics Committee of the International Federation of Accountants. And the International Ethics Committee came into existence in the late 1970s. In the early 2000s, the monitoring group, that's a body of 7 international regulators and policymaking organizations, as you can see on the screen here, came together. The monitoring group comprises the Financial Stability Board, the European Commission, IOSCO, the International Association of Insurance Supervisors, the International Forum of Independent Audit Regulators, the Basel Committee, and the World Bank. And why did this group of international regulators come together? It was because of the spate of scandals around the turn of the century. Enron, Parmalat in Italy, Tyco, WorldCom. Essentially, there were a lot of issues of unethical behavior, of fraud, and all of these had massive consequences for the public interest. As investors, stakeholders lost a lot, employees lost their jobs, etc. And the regulators came together and said, the approach of having the accounting profession sets its own standard and its own regulation doesn't work in the public interest. And therefore, there needed to be an independent structure, independent of the accounting profession, under public oversight, to serve the public interest. And that's why the monitoring group came together and set up this structure. IESBA operates under the oversight of the PIOB, that's our oversight body, the Public Interest Oversight Board, which is based in Madrid. And we operate, we are housed in another independent legal entity that's called IFIA, the International Foundation for Ethics and Audit. We are together with our sister board, IWSB House, under IFIA, and again, under public oversight. And what I would say is the mission of our board is not to set standards for any profession per se, especially now that we're moving in the domain of sustainability reporting. The mission of our board is to set standards of ethics and independence in the public interest. It is not to set standards for the accounting profession. Essentially, our service is to the public interest. Let me just say a few words about our Global Code of Ethics. It is essentially the code that contains all of our ethics and independence standards. It is quite comprehensive because this is a body of standards that have been developed over the past 2 decades, or even more, going back into history, as I said, back into the late 70s. But essentially, over the last, I would say, over the last decade, really, this code of ethics has really developed to a level of sophistication, really to cater to the evolution of the financial markets, the increasing complexity of business, as well as the globalization. So where we stand today is our code is adopted and used in over 130 jurisdictions. Our most recent edition of our code, the 2018 edition, and subsequently now over 90 jurisdictions. Jurisdictions really take some time to really move towards convergence or adoption of our standards because they have to have follow their own national due processes. Importantly, our code of ethics is adopted and used by the largest 34 international audit networks for their audit engagements. That is a commitment they've made under their constitution. So these international networks include, of course, all the large accounting firms, the Big Four plus the next 28, and the standards really are the ones they apply in their performance of audit engagements. These standards are enforced as well. And our standards are taken up at the local level in a variety of ways. Some jurisdictions take up our standards by reference and embed those standards into their national legislation. Our standards also get adopted through the route of professional bodies that take them up and make those standards applicable to their members, the professional accountants. So now I come then to our topic of discussion today, which is about convergence of standards to support sustainability reporting. This is really a picture of where our standards come into play. We have on the left, of course, we have the reporting standards. The reporting standards are necessary to bring a level of consistency in terms of what is disclosed by companies. The assurance standards also play an important role to bring the level of credibility to the information, a standardized approach in terms of how assurance providers carry out the assurance work. And our ethics and independence standards are essentially a critical plank in that architecture. Because at the end of the day, the technical standards really won't have the necessary impact without having those who apply those standards operate with the mindset, the behavior, the conduct that is going to be necessary for the public to trust their work, both on the reporting side, meaning the preparers who put the information together, as well as the assurance providers. So we have been on a journey at our board, beginning, I would say now, almost 2 years ago, we have really been operating at a rapid pace to prepare those standards to support sustainability reporting and assurance on a global basis. In June 2022, our board publicly committed to developing those standards to be applicable globally. Then the International Organization of Securities Commission, IOSCO, issued a public statement to encourage our board, as well as sister board IWSP, to develop standards for ethics and assurance in support of sustainability assurance services. In December 22, our board formally approved our current project to develop ethics and independence standards for sustainability reporting and assurance. In March, April of last year, we held 4 global roundtables in Paris, Singapore, Sydney, and New York, where really we assembled a very diverse group of senior level executives from around the world to come and talk about some of the critical issues that we're looking at from the ethical perspective. And we managed to get very helpful feedback in terms of some of the pivotal issues, some of the directional issues, as we work towards putting those standards together. And in December last year, our board approved the final proposals, which are now on public consultation until May 10th. There are essentially 2 exposure drafts. The main one is our exposure draft of ethics and independence standards for sustainability assurance, as well as some provisions dealing with ethics provisions for sustainable reporting. And we have a companion exposure draft that deals with the use of the work of external experts, which we believe at ESPA is going to be critical as we move into the broader area, the broader space of sustainability reporting, where the subject matters are going to be a lot more diverse than just financial information. Emanuele spoke earlier about the agreement we have entered into with IAF. This is a critical agreement from our board's perspective. Why it is important is because we believe, and as Emanuele has alluded to it earlier, when it comes to ethical behavior, it really doesn't depend on who is carrying out the work. It doesn't depend on whether the assurance provider is an audit firm or a conformity assessment body. At the end of the day, how the provider, the assurance provider, applies the standard will come down to their mindset and how they're thinking about the issues they're looking at, how they're thinking about how to apply the standards, and how to deal with dilemmas and challenges when they're going to be facing pressures, incentives, and opportunities to do the wrong thing. And that's why we believe that it's critical to have a global baseline, a global ethical benchmark, as we call it, that will serve the public interest first and foremost, but importantly will be applicable and usable by any sustainability assurance provider, regardless of the background. So we are very delighted at our board to have entered into this partnership with IAF, and we're going to be working very closely with Emanuele and IAF. As Emanuele, you spoke about this bridging document. It's going to be very important to make sure that sustainability assurance providers really understand those standards and what they intended to achieve, and that they apply those standards on a consistent basis. So that is going to be the important objective. Within our exposure draft, there is a body of ethics and independent standards that sits under our umbrella title here, the International Ethics Standards for Sustainability Assurance, and these encompass our standards are for independence, and we call it the ESR. And as I mentioned earlier, those standards are going to apply to all sustainability assurance providers, regardless of the professional background. And finally, let me just kind of paint a bit of a picture in terms of the main characteristics of the ESR. I won't go into the technical details. There's a lot of technical details in terms of the provisions. But essentially, our ESR contains both the ethics provisions that are at the principles level, that speak to issues of acting with integrity, really demonstrating objectivity, and how to navigate issues of threats or risks to the assurance provider not acting in the ethical way. We are developing those standards in a profession agnostic way. We are developing it because fundamentally we believe that, as indicated earlier, it doesn't really matter who's carrying out the work. At the end of the day, the focus is on which work is being carried out. And in this case, it is about sustainability assurance. So these standards are being developed on that professional agnostic base. They are also framework neutral, in the sense that it doesn't really matter which assurance framework is being used to carry out the assurance work. As long as there is a recognized body of assurance standards that is being used by the assurance provider, our standards will apply. And equally, on the reporting side, it really doesn't depend on which reporting framework is being used to prepare the corporate sustainability disclosures, whether it's the ISSB standards, or whether it's ESRS or GRI standards, our ethics standards will apply. The third important characteristics I would emphasize is that those standards are at the level of the ethics standards that apply to audit engagements. Why we have taken that decision at our board, it is because we believe that when it comes to sustainability disclosures that will be prepared in accordance with a general purpose framework, meaning to say it is going to be information that will be used by a large group of stakeholders. And if this information is going to be publicly disclosed by two stakeholders for them to make investment decisions, for them to make their policy-making decisions, whatever these decisions might be, that information is critical in the public interest. And therefore, there's going to be a need for the public, the stakeholders, to be able to trust that information. So that's why those standards are at a high level. And as you know, the standards that apply to audits are very comprehensive, and they really set a very high bar. And finally, we have really packaged and will be presenting those standards in a standalone part of our IESPA code, our International Code of Ethics. The reason is we wanted very deliberately to make sure that those standards could be taken as is and used by any assurance provider, or indeed taken up at the jurisdictional level by any national standard setter, including accreditation bodies. And therefore, we are packaging and presenting those standards in that part of our code, and we're developing it in a profession agnostic way, using language that is neutral and will be understandable by all practitioners. Let me close with a final note, which is to say I'm very optimistic, very hopeful that those standards will really set that global benchmark. In fact, I just came to Rome from Tokyo yesterday, where we had, as I mentioned earlier, we had a series of meetings and roundtables with Japanese stakeholders, and in fact, we had a very large roundtable with a very diverse and impressive group of stakeholders in Japan, and this was a roundtable organized by the Japanese Financial Services Authority. And what was really pleasing was to see diverse assurance providers around the table, not only the audit firms, you take the Big Four, KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, EY, and so forth, but we also had accreditation bodies or representatives of the accreditation world. We had the Japanese Accreditation Board, we had SGS Japan, we had Bureau Veritas Japan, we had Japan Quality Assurance Company. I mean, these are basically the conformity assessment bodies or representatives of the conformity world, all sitting around the table and talking about the same thing, because everybody recognized that those standards are really critical in service of the public interest. So with that, let me close. I'll be happy to take any question, Marco. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So for being here, you were in Tokyo yesterday. I know you are going to USA, so you are very important to have you today and for your speech. I think that since we are, there is a constraint of time, I would defer the question after all the presentation and inviting you, of course, to ask questions to our speakers. And so this was important because you were talking about the fact that this standard is neutral and it is professional agnostic, and it goes in the same direction of what Emanuele was saying before. So thank you very much. So now this is the turn of Marc Boissonett. I don't know if the pronunciation is correct or not, of course. And he's a mechanical engineer. He has been working with Bureau Veritas for nearly 40 years. He has been a Chief Sustainability Officer during the last 10 years. And today, Marc is ESG Director at TIC Council, where his role is to bring TIC sector support in the building of a future sustainability landscape. And Marc was actively involved in the revision process of CSRD and the ESRS. He participates to different EU working groups within the Parliament to publish a guideline on CSRD and with the Commission to define a standard for sustainability limited assurance services. Now you are going to talk about the role of assurance providers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, very pleased to be here with you today. Great thanks to Cesare Saccani for inviting TIC Council to present. And while you look to my slides, and to echo Emanuele Riva quote, you started your presentation with a quote. I found one that I believe is illustrating our views of sustainability. It's from Saint-Exupéry. I don't know whether you know this author. Saint-Exupéry is a French guy who wrote a book named Le Petit Prince, a Small Prince. And he said, concerning the future, what matters is not predicting the future, it is making it possible. And I feel that this really applies to the situation we face today. We have to make the future possible, big challenges, environmental ones related to climate, but also social ones. Then back to T-Council. I'm not sure you know what means T-Council, what we do, so few words, quick words on yeah, this one. So T-Council is international associations of certification bodies. It's a bit wider because we also represent testing laboratories and inspection firms. It represents about 100 members located worldwide. We have members in China, in the US, in India, and of course, many in Europe. It represents about 1 million employees, so it's a significant amount of people. We have offices in Brussels, which is the main place where our people are located, but we also have offices in the USA, in Washington, in China, in Shanghai, and in India, and we will shortly open a new office in Africa. It's a very active association since many years, working in the field of sustainability, but as you've seen, sustainability has significantly accelerated and expanded the scope of its action. And our sector challenge is to adapt and support all these changes. I would like to enter into this CSRD, starting with some views we have on CSRD. And mainly, I would like to demystify CSRD. Many experts have had words explaining that sustainability reporting, and particularly CSRD, will be very expensive to put in place, will take a lot of time, will represent very high costs for companies. And we do believe, and I'm not alone saying that it is an excessive approach. So just to restate what was in the mind of the policymakers who decided to move forward with CSRD. First, when we refer to CSRD, it's not about complying with the new regulations. These requirements for compliance are defined in other regulations about energy efficiency, about building efficiency, about green claims, about deforestation or whatever. CSRD does not bring any new constraints to comply with, except reporting transparently about what company does. CSRD is mainly a tool to bring transparency, to accelerate transition, because stakeholders will see better what companies are doing and will put a bit more pressure on companies to transition quicker and to reach their targets quicker. So no compliance, but more transition. Second, CSRD must not be a standalone activity aside to the company activity where you recruit people, they report on things the company does. No, CSRD has to be embedded, completely included in the company processes. When we speak about sustainability strategy, it has to be reflected into the company strategy. When we speak about sustainability risk management, it has to be included in the company risk management processes. So if we do it this way, it is not an addition to what the company does. It's just an evolution of the way of the company works to cover additional aspects. Third point we wanted to highlight is the magnitude of the reporting. Yes, of course, CSRD make reference to more than 1,000 data points, qualitative and quantitative, to be reported. But this is as a maximum in case you tick all the boxes that apply to you. CSRD asks a company to first do a materiality assessment, more precisely a double materiality assessment. So the first question companies have to ask themselves, where do I impact sustainability? Where does sustainability impact my activities? And this is like a funnel, and by ticking these boxes, you reduce the number of sustainability matters you will have to report on. This is very important. So I don't know a single company that has to report 1,000 data points. When you do that exercise, you go back to what you usually report. But the benefit of it, and you said it very nicely, it is standardized. The way you will report it will be the same your competitors will report and the same other companies will report. So for investors, analysts, shareholders, it will be easier to understand the effort put by the company. So it's not as complex as some people like to say. Next point, it's not only about managing risks and impact. It is also a huge opportunity for the company. When you go through, you identify needs from your clients, needs from the market, and these needs are translated into the company business day-to-day activities as opportunities in which you qualify people, you change your processes, and you offer new services and new product to the market. It's a vital strategic thinking companies have to put in place, highlighted not only by the current market situation, by the future market situation driven by sustainability challenges. So it is important strategic people in the companies are fully associated to this impact, risk, and opportunities assessment, because this will be very much inspiring for the future. It's not just about publishing a report, as it is written, it is also about strategic competitiveness. By publishing such a report, those companies who do it become much more attractive for the market, for their clients, particularly in this country where sustainability become to be visible. So it's a strength to say, we offer services of quality, we are competitive economically, but on top of it, we comply with these sustainability requirements to be supporting the transition toward this new generation. So it's a very strong competitive advantage for those companies. And finally, sustainability is not to be opposed to financial. It is a complementary vision of the role and the impact of the companies. And we can't think about efficiency or attitude of companies if you don't look to how they proceed. The result is good, which is the financial aspect, but the way we do it, the way we care people, the way we care the environment is almost as important as the financial results. So this first set of information was to insist on CSRD has a lot of value. CSRD is important for our future, and we should not consider as an excessive requirement for companies, even if for medium-sized firms that will for the first time have to prepare a report, it is a very important work to be done. Those who report since many years, they just have to adapt. Small firms have to anticipate, be assisted by their big clients, if possible, their trade associations, by all these experts we have around us. But yes, it's not as complex as some people would like to say. Second message is about opening the market. The CSRD so states all these elements. A delegated act define the way to report with the ESRS, the European Standards, Sustainability Reporting Standards. But in addition, the policymakers wanted to open the market for verification. This verification of sustainability report is important. And you highlighted it, Ken, for financial reasons, but also for the same reasons apply to sustainability reports. Investors, shareholders must have a good understanding of the risk the company is exposed to and the benefits of the transition. This will have impact on the financial results and the sustainability of the company. So this is used by many people, and it has to be 100% trustable without any mistake in it. That's why verification is critical. So far, in Europe, mainly in Europe, most of the verifications are performed by a limited number of audit firms. the purpose and the ambition of the Commission was to open that market to new players, those who are used to perform audits, survey, certification. They know about verifying, but they are not active in the financial situation of firms, but they are active in the sustainability part. So this is a policy that we fully support. We do believe that it will bring the market more competition, more competitiveness among these different players. Companies, undertakings will benefit from it with a better quality, better pricing, and a better service provided to them. For the certification world I'm representing today, we believe that not only we are an additional alternative for the verification, but that we bring a new vision of sustainability. You know what is new in the ESRS? It's not that there is a list of data points to report on. It is many of these data points are highlighting the looking forward activity of the company, are presenting medium and long-term targets to be achieved, are asking for transition plan, explaining how the company will succeed reducing CO2 emission, reducing the impact on the biodiversity, etc. So this is a big change compared to the existing sustainability reports. It's not a picture of the past. It is still a picture of the past, but also a picture of the ambition and the way to move forward. This is significantly important for the companies, as it is important for the stakeholders, as it is important for the verifiers. And this is where we believe our sector, the certification sector, brings significant added value. Most of our employees, most of our auditors are engineers. They worked in the past in these industries. They have understanding of the processes, of what matters, what doesn't matter, how you can change, how you can reduce impact. They have a good understanding of the environmental aspects, being pollution, circular economy, biodiversity, or climate. So they have a better look and understanding of this transition plan, and they can better support companies. So yes, audit firms do a very good work delivering this audit service, but I do believe that we do an even better work. So that's why I support the idea to open the market to us. I will not be too long. This is the situation as of today in Europe regarding the transposition of the directive. As it has been said, the CSRD say that each member state may decide to open the market to independent assurance service providers, which mean non-audit firms. All the countries today, except France, are delaying the transposition. We spoke it with Cesare recently. Because of many reasons, it's not as easy as it seems. If countries decide to open the market, they have to look at how to control the opening of the market using the accreditation bodies. Accreditation bodies have to set new rules to accredit the verifiers. So it's all a system to put in place. The time frame for many countries was too short, except France. Not that France is better than other countries, but with the NFRD, the past CSRD, the non-financial reporting directive, France already decided to open up the market to non-audit firms. So the accreditation system was already in place. So using it for CSRD was quite easy. So for this reason, France has already fully transposed, and we're starting offering services and audits will start soon. But all the other countries, including Spain, which is a good example, decided they will open the market. The decision is taken, but the law is not yet published because they still are looking, or they face some political challenges, probably highest priority compared to sustainability. But they are still trying to finalize the way this will be putting in place before making it applicable. EU is fully aware about that. So among the 27 member states, 26 will delay 1 year at least to put in place the CSRD. And I don't know about Italy, but I understand that it might be the same situation. Italy is a very important member state in Europe, one of the biggest. And the decision Italy will take regarding opening the market or not opening the market will be used as an example by many other member states. So if you decide to open it, I am sure that many of the countries considering to open will be positively influenced and will most probably follow the decision taken by Italy. If opposite Italy decide not to open, whatever the reason is, that will for sure send opposite message to these other countries. So I don't know whether you can influence the decision in Italy, but I really would like to recommend to go this way because it is for the benefit of the companies, and particularly the middle-sized companies that are not willing to work with big international audit firms. The cost is very high, the processes are very heavy, while you have small local certification bodies, Italian firms who can deliver the service in a more closer way than these big audit firms. So for the benefits of the markets, and it has no cost. Emanuele said it, the cost of putting in place the control system will be supported by the accreditation body, Accredia, and will be financed by us as certification bodies because we will have to pay fees in order to be accredited. So no cost for the government, only benefits. That's why I really recommend to move this way. And this is a more global view worldwide, outside Europe. Many countries, if not all, are considering asking their companies, mainly the listed companies, as a first step to report on sustainability. And most of these countries are asking companies to have an independent verification of the reports. Not always, this is being put in place progressively. India is clearly the most advanced countries. They published a specific standard, which is an adaptation of the international standards, I would say ESRS, IFRS, but they made addition particularly on the social dimension because there are social challenges in India they want to fix with this reporting system. So India is well advanced. It is in place since a year, and they are extending the scope year after year. USA, it's one day yes, one day no. So we don't know. They published a regulation. It is challenged by many oppositions. So we don't know whether that regulation will be implemented or not implemented. But we expect it will be, and it is focused on climate only. But it's a good start. I will say whatever you do, it's a good step in this journey. China, as you know, China, they say no during many years, and one day they say, okay, we go. And when they decide, it goes very quickly. And this is where we stand with China. The regulation, the text of the standards are being published, and the regulation will be enforced very quickly with a lot of authority. Japan submitted recently a standard for a draft standard to be commented. So again, Japan is moving ahead. Philippines, Singapore did it. UK is almost decided to move forward with ISSB, the IFRS 1 and 2, S1 and S2 standards, and all the other countries. So what we see today is a global trend. The society we belong to wants companies to report on financial data and on sustainability data. There is no way you can operate in a place if you do not explain how you impact people, how you impact the environment. It is too important to leave it aside, and we need it. So this is what we support: transparency, positive attitude toward transitioning to a more responsible action, and an open, competitive market under the control of national authorities. I'm referring to accreditation bodies. Thank you.
So thank you, Marc, for your very clear presentation and this message, and also the comparison at the international level about what countries are deciding in terms of the extension of the assurance market. Let's go on. So next presentation is by Giacomo Riccio. I guess he's connected online. Yes, I see him. So Giacomo is a technical project manager at UNI, which is the Italian standardization body. He's the contact person for society, services, and professional area. And he contributed to the publication and dissemination of regulatory documents for CSR regarding many standards. Regarding the draft of the UNI, the PDR reference practice on sustainability reporting, he has been a very important member of the UNI technical table, and so he's going to present now the draft of the project. I'm remembering to all of us that the project was promoted by Diligentia together with Accredia and developed, of course, by UNI. So that's your turn, Giacomo. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. I'm Giacomo Riccio, Technical Project Manager from UNI. Thank you for the introduction and for inviting me and UNI to this important event. So just to clarify, UNI is the Italian National Standardization Body. We are a private not-profit association, but our action within standardization is recognized by the state, by legislative decree number 223/2017 and regulation, most importantly, regulation 1025/2012 on European standardization. We do develop standards and technical references, reference practice, and we will focus on one of these today. It's a UNI PDR. PDR stands for Prassi di Riferimento, reference practice. And then we do represent Italy within CEN and ISA, so a European and international level. So the PDR we're just talking about today is related to corporate sustainability reporting and has been proposed jointly by Accredia, the accreditation body, and Diligentia, reference association, who's also the host of today's event, and approved by UNI in 2022. We did this in accordance with European regulation standardization. So we did first preliminary consultation to check with CEN if there was no other project addressing this topic, and it wasn't launched any, and that was the case. So then we invited interest parties into the working group, and we started working on it together with Accredia, Diligentia, and many other stakeholders since April 2023 until April 2024. So the drafting phase took almost a year, and we finally launched today. Today is the day, basically. We launched the public consultation on the document. So the document is on our website for 30 days. And we'll get into the details of it, and we'll share the link. So we'll need your support on this as well. And at the end of it, the publication will be by May, June, but we'll see a better timeline, a detailed timeline later on. Basically, everything stemmed from recitals number 61, 62, and 63 of the CSRD. It was mentioned before, the opening of the market and the possibility of doing so. Within the recital number 61, we can read statutory auditors or audit firms already verify the financial statements and the management report. And then we see again another sentence which has been highlighted from the Commission. There's a worry, and the worry is that, however, there is a risk of further concentration of the audit market, which could risk the independence of auditors and increase audit fees or fee relating to the assurance of sustainability reporting. So the CSRD introduces a new actor, which is the accredited independent assurance service provider. And we see in the second part of recital number 61 that the European Commission is saying member state should therefore be allowed to accredit independent assurance service providers in accordance with regulation number 765/2008, which is the regulation dedicated to accreditation bodies. And if we move to the next slides, we see also that in recital number 62 and 63, there's an additional element that already has been discussed today of the importance also of how things are happening and going on under member states. In recital number 62, it said that this will also favor opening up the assurance market, even when not all members allow for the accreditation of independent assurance service providers. So it is very important to see, and that was what happened with previous presentation, to see what happens under member states. But let's go directly and focus on the PDR. So we are addressing this document on the fact that with the adoption of the directive from 2022, the main subject, as said, are the statutory auditor and audit firms, which are performing within the CSRD activity, limited assurance from 2026 and reasonable assurance from 1st October 2028. Now, within the adoption at national level, we do have a window of opportunity and opening, which is the adoption of the directive in Italy, for example, which opens to the possibility of having also conformity assessment bodies, accredited conformity assessment body, performing conformity assessment here. And so the PDR we're working on is called CSR, Corporate Sustainability Reporting, Principle and Requirements for Attestation of External Assurance. That's the terms used within CSRD. Main goals are, first of all, to fully align with the directive 2022-2464, to base our activity, and this is very important, on EN ISO IEC 17029 requirements to facilitate accreditation of independent providers of assurance for services. And that's also very important because it is related to claims and the validation of claims, since the reporting is considered an attestation of a claim. And also, the document has to be, and it is, aligned with international standards published by internationally recognized standard setters, for example, IAASB or IESBA. And mostly, the reference here is to Article 26, which provides for the details of limited and reasonable assurance and the reception and adoption at national level. Our PDR, we don't have a number yet. It would be 165, but I won't tell you for sure until it's published. The PDR has the same structure of EN ISO IEC 17029. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just applying the 17029 to the case of CSR. And in this case, the structure is the same. We have the scope, normative references, terms and definition, principles, and so, et cetera, the points and clauses dedicated to validation verifications programs, the resource and requirements, process requirements, and so on. The only addition, focus on this, is the clause number 12, requirements related to the use of the UNI trademark. But apart from that, we're not reinventing the wheel, we're just applying ISO 17029. The benefits, expected benefits, are the ones you see on screen. So again, it will be an enabler for the member state government, in this case Italy, to adopt the CSRD and open at the same time the market as it has been envisaged and suggested by the Commission in the recitals we just saw. It could be used for evaluation of progress and accreditation purposes. It is aligned with international standards as regards to sustainability reporting assurance. It adopts a recognized international standards as regards the independence of practitioners and firms. It used for conformity assessment program evaluation for accreditation purposes, and also can be used for accreditation of conformity assessment bodies in accordance with ISO IEC and a specific program. Now, and I'll close my presentation, the public consultation. As said, the drafting has been terminated today. So we finally got to a final document and we opened the public consultation. Public consultation will run for 30 days, starting today, until May 19th of May 2024. This means that during this consultation, every stakeholder, from association to universities to public authorities to even single enterprises or organizations, can and shall and should, we're very welcoming any comment on this, can participate in the consultation by sending us comments and suggestions related to the document. Point by point, clause by clause, you can actually participate in the drafting of the document. And this is a key aspect of standardization. It's not just UNI or Accredia or Diligenza themselves writing the requirements and putting them out there. It's actually the entire public. So every interested stakeholder can participate in this call. After we collect all the comments, after the 19th of May, we'll have to address the comment within the working group. resolve the comments, send answers to every single comment, and then adjourn and modify, update the PDR. Now, the dates there are tentative because we don't know how many comments we're going to get. But let's say by May, June, we collect and resolve the comments, then the uni board approves the final document, and ratification could happen by, let's say, June 2024. Again, it's a tentative date, it's a tentative timeline. We still don't know how many comments we're going to receive. Still, we just opened the consultation. On the left, you'll see a yellow square. We put in there, out there, and we'll also share it within the chat of this event. And I hope that at the end it could be shared and sent to every stakeholder participating in the event. There's a link to the public consultation and also a link to the news from UNI launching the consultation. That's the link that you can use to actually download the document and comment the document. That was my last slide. I hope I said in the minutes that I was given. Thank you very much for the time you gave me, and sorry for the technical issues.
Thank you very much, Giacomo. So he gave us a very important message for we all, that today it is starting officially the public consultation of the PDR. So all stakeholders, all experts, all citizens, of course, all institutions are invited to provide comments. So thank you very much again. Now we are moving on. Last but not least, of course, presentation, and Monica Peta, who is a chartered accountant here in Italy. She's an auditor of the Order of the Chartered Accountants in Rome, and she has a PhD in business science, and she's a teacher of advanced training courses and the university degrees in sustainability reporting standards. She is a member of the National Council Sustainability Reporting Commission, and she is author of many papers, publication, and the latest one was a textbook on sustainability reporting just published in February, so a couple of months ago.
Thank Marc. I agree everyone, and I agree Cesare Saccani that have me this opportunity. And I have prepared the slides in English, but I speak in Italian with I prefer present the answers with my passion. And allora quindi io parto da dove hanno lasciato gli altri relatori e in particolare da dove ha lasciato Marc e l'ultimo relatore, ovvero dalla CSD. E inquadro, vado a rappresentare quello che sta di fatto succedendo in Italia, accadendo in Italia, come la CSD viene recepita in Italia. Ha già detto prima Marc che la direttiva europea si è inserita con diversi punti innovativi, quindi non sto qua a ripeterli, ma sicuramente due punti innovativi essenziali che caratterizzano il nuovo framework europeo sono la doppia materialità e l'obbligo di conformità ai principi di rendicontazione e di sostenibilità, e questo è l'elemento che segna di fatto una linea divisoria tra gli SRS e i GRI. Quello che sta accadendo in Italia adesso, su cui stiamo lavorando, è sul decreto adesso in fase, abbiamo finito la consultazione pubblica, quindi sarà recepito entro luglio 2024. Il quadro adesso si caratterizza si sta focalizzando anche sui nuovi standard che saranno pubblicati a giugno 2024 sia per le piccole e medie imprese quotate sia lo standard volontario per le piccole e medie imprese e le microimprese non quotate. Chi sono i principi di rendicontazione di sostenibilità? Sono delle norme che hanno una rappresentazione di tipo non gerarchico, perché tutti i principi parlano tra di loro, ma la struttura, l'architettura dei principi di rendicontazione prevede in particolare due principi che stanno in alto e sono trasversali, e perché indicano quelli che sono i requisiti obbligatori e l'informativa generale, e che a quali si riferiscono poi i principi tematici, quindi i principi ambientali, i principi sociali e principi di governance. Sono stati previsti 5 principi ambientali, 4 principi per i social e un principio per di governance, che appunto ho detto condotta aziendale. La caratteristica in particolare dei principi ambientali, così come visti nella nuova architettura, è quella di integrare, molto importante questo elemento, è quello di integrare la tassonomia europea, il regolamento 852/2020. Tanto è vero che ogni principio ambientale integra completamente gli obiettivi indicati dalla tassonomia. Di conseguenza la struttura di fatto di questi principi va a focalizzare le aree innanzitutto che devono essere rendicontate poi sulla base dei principi tematici. L'SRS2 si focalizza in particolare su 4 aree, e sono la governance, la strategia, gli impatti, rischi e opportunità, metriche ed obiettivi. Per ognuna di queste aree poi i principi ambientali, i principi tematici a partire da quelli ambientali individuano quelle regole informative che devono essere seguite per la rendicontazione di sostenibilità. A partire da questi principi di rendicontazione, che è lo scheletro, il primo scheletro dei primi 12 principi che sono già in vigore dal 1° gennaio 2024 e interessano le grandi imprese quotate e le imprese che già redigevano la dichiarazione non finanziaria, seguono quelli che i nuovi principi, che poi non sono nuovi, sono nient'altro che degli standard che fissano delle regole semplificate per l'applicazione dei principi di rendicontazione che abbiamo visto nella slide di prima, e sono i principi previsti per le PMI quotate. Entrano sarà il primo report che sarà interessato all'applicazione di questi principi, è il report che sarà pubblicato nel 2026 con riferimento nel report che sarà pubblicato nel 2027 con riferimento all'esercizio amministrativo 2026. Vedete che ho utilizzato già la parola esercizio amministrativo. Questa è un'altra caratteristica è una linea divisoria della SRS-D di principi SRS rispetto al passato. Perché? Perché il riferimento temporale è quello dei bilanci, ovvero del budget, ovvero del piano industriale, e come anche il perimetro è quello dell'impresa individuale o l'impresa collettiva o il gruppo di impresa se l'impresa redige il bilancio consolidato. Come si applicheranno i principi per le PMI quotate? Anche qui, come il primo set che vi ho fatto vedere poc'anzi nell'altra slide, prevedono una struttura che vede in alto i requisiti obbligatori, poi l'informativa generale, le politiche, le azioni, gli obiettivi e quindi i temi ambientali, sociali e la condotta aziendale. Come vengono, qual è la forma e come devono essere poi strutturati, abbiamo detto, all'interno del bilancio d'esercizio. L'attività quindi di reporting, il processo di reporting non finisce, diciamo, trova un primo step perché il processo di reporting è continuo, interessa tutta la vita dell'azienda e trova conclusione insieme al bilancio d'esercizio e rappresentazione nella relazione sulla gestione. Questo è un altro elemento rilevante che caratterizza appunto il punto innovativo della CSD di principi di rendicontazione. E per l'Italia di fatto è innovativo tra virgolette perché va a colmare e va a riempire quell'informativa che già il codice civile ci richiede all'articolo 2428 secondo comma, quando dice che la relazione sulla gestione deve andare ad illustrare in relazione agli affari sociali, quindi in modo proporzionale rispetto alle dimensioni dell'azienda e alla complessità dell'azienda, le informative non finanziarie. Quindi quando noi andiamo, nel momento in cui andiamo a riempire, quindi a rappresentare la dichiarazione di sostenibilità all'interno della relazione sulla gestione, andiamo a soddisfare questa disposizione, ma non solo, lo facciamo in maniera più ampia perché la disposizione è ferma agli indicatori o all'informativa non finanziaria. La sostenibilità è una cosa molto più ampia rispetto agli indicatori finanziari statici perché deve essere, sappiamo che deve prevedere, quindi deve essere applicata in modo anche prospettico, quindi guardando al futuro. Tant'è vero che le aziende si devono adoperare per, almeno le grandi aziende, per integrare l'informativa, quindi la rendicontazione di sostenibilità anche nel budget, quindi medio termine e anche nei piani industriali, anche medio-lungo termine. Cosa sta succedendo intanto a livello di obbligo normativo? È vero che la SRSD prevede un obbligo solo per alcune categorie di imprese, seppur anche sotto questo profilo la SRSD è molto più ampia e segna anche qui una linea divisoria rispetto al passato perché ha ampliato il perimetro di rendicontazione, comprendendo non solo dunque le grandi le imprese quotate e le imprese soggette alla dichiarazione del DNF, ma ha ampliato il perimetro di rendicontazione dell'obbligo alle grandi imprese e quindi ha definito anche in questo è soccorso in aiuto anche l'altro direttiva, quelli sui parametri dimensionali, che è stata proprio pubblicata in maniera definitiva a dicembre 2023, a individuare le diverse categorie di imprese. Cosa succede rispetto al panorama generale e rispetto appunto a questo obbligo che però investe anche le piccole e medie imprese non quotate, che però investe tutta la catena del valore a monte e a valle. Succede che le imprese appunto che si trovano nella catena del valore e che devono rendicontare alle grandi imprese le loro informazioni di sostenibilità sono di fatto soggette ad un obbligo indiretto, ad un obbligo di valenza strategica, perché ciò che vale adesso per rimanere sul mercato non è più il fatturato, ma anche la capacità di rendicontare l'informativa di sostenibilità. E come lo fanno? Lo fanno sicuramente adottando un principio, che è il principio di proporzionalità, quindi su base volontaria. Ma attenzione, il fatto di adottare i principi di rendicontazione su base volontaria non significa non essere conformi ai principi di rendicontazione e sostenibilità. Quindi, rispetto al passato, i GRI ci dicevano di rendicontare, però non era previsto l'obbligo di conformità. Gli SRS applicati su base volontaria lo devono fare, bisogna farlo, quindi bisogna adottare gli strumenti per verificare la conformità, e questo può essere, vediamo poi nell'ultima slide, possono essere dei punti critici che ci devono far riflettere. L'altro set che quindi completo il quadro così degli SRS, abbiamo detto SRS, primi 12 principi pubblicati già in vigore dal 1° gennaio 2024. Secondo set sono i principi standard per le PMI quotate che stanno in fase di pubblicazione con prevedibilmente entro giugno, e insieme l'SRS volontario. L'SRS volontario cos'è? Ricordando bene che i principi di rendicontazione non sono altro che norme e strumenti che ci aiutano per la rendicontazione di sostenibilità, ai quali ci dobbiamo attenere per la conformità, e che di fatto, se noi li andiamo a leggere bene, ci indicano per anche i processi da seguire e gli strumenti. Ad esempio, l'SRS1, che fissa i requisiti obbligatori, ci dice già come, ovviamente questo è un obbligo, ma ci dà un riferimento, come dobbiamo procedere per esprimere il giudizio di doppia materialità, e ci dice, e ci fa riferimento e ci descrive un processo a 4 fasi. Ora, gli SRS volontari quindi hanno sempre lo stesso scopo, quello di supportare l'impresa nella rendicontazione dell'informativa di sostenibilità. Però prevedono quattro tipi di modelli. Uno basico, un modello basico dove il principio di rendicontazione ci dice l'impresa non deve fare l'analisi di materialità. L'altro, un principio tipo narrativo, dove l'impresa va rispetto al modello basico a raccontare, e già questa cosa è un po' strana rispetto al termine di rendicontazione, comunque va a narrare l'informativa di sostenibilità dell'impresa. E l'altro modello, quello si chiama Basic Partner, che va ad essere più completo perché va ad integrare quell'informativa che di fatto dovrebbe essere...
Monica, anche per ragioni di tempo ti invito ad arrivare alle conclusioni, comunque di 5 minuti, insomma.
Sì. Quindi va ad integrare quell'informativa che sono diretti agli istituti di credito, agli investitori e ai fornitori e clienti. Il rischio di questo modello è di perdere di fatto la ratio di questi modelli, almeno di quello basico, e di perdere di fatto la ratio sottostante, diciamo, ai principi di rendicontazione, perché viene ad essere svuotata l'informativa. Quindi bisogna capire se questo tipo di modello, seppur previsto dal principio volontario, possa avere poi quale valenza abbia ai fini della rendicontazione di sostenibilità nelle imprese che adottano l'approccio volontario. Come possono adempiere queste imprese alla risposta alle richieste di informativa delle grandi imprese. Di fatto nelle le piccole e medie imprese, quindi che adottano la rendicontazione, devono soddisfare alcuni punti che io qua ho indicato nella slide, come quello di individuare qual è il loro contributo sostanziale nella per ai fini delle attività di integrare la loro attività con i principi di sostenibilità, indicare le azioni e le politiche, individuare le informazioni rispetto alle aspettative degli stakeholder e rappresentare, ecco, qui la differenza delle piccole imprese rispetto a quelle imprese, quindi medie, che per legge devono redigere il bilancio, redigeranno la dichiarazione di sostenibilità in un documento separato dell'azienda. Quindi PMI che dovranno redigere, soggetto per legge alla redazione del bilancio, integreranno la relazione sulla gestione con la dichiarazione di sostenibilità. Le PMI che non sono soggette all'obbligo di bilancio dovranno, le piccole imprese, scusate, non sono soggette all'obbligo di bilancio, devono redigere una dichiarazione di sostenibilità in un documento diverso. Allora qui io ho individuato e vado alla conclusione, alcuni punti critici di questi, alcune domande che ci dobbiamo fare nell'applicare i principi di rendicontazione, e soprattutto come andiamo a individuare le questioni rilevanti da rendicontare. Qui è vero, l'SRS1 ci dà un'elencazione, però è solo un riferimento. Quindi primo problema sicuramente come individuare le questioni rilevanti. Poi come dobbiamo fare, quali strumenti dobbiamo fare per controllare che venga, per dimostrare che sono rispettati le caratteristiche qualitative delle informative previste all'SRS1. Che strumenti dobbiamo utilizzare per misurare gli impatti, i rischi e le opportunità? Quali sono gli strumenti che dobbiamo implementare all'interno dell'azienda per controllare i rischi di sostenibilità? Quali strumenti dobbiamo utilizzare per individuare le metriche e gli obiettivi? E soprattutto ricordiamoci che in Italia abbiamo la produzione è caratterizzata da un tessuto imprenditoriale fatto da imprese familiari, da imprese padronali. Quindi come dobbiamo investire queste imprese della nuova cultura della sostenibilità, dove queste imprese sono più attente ancora oggi al profitto, ovviamente, e non alla sostenibilità. E come facciamo poi a garantire la conformità agli SRS? Cosa sta succedendo in questo momento? Questo è un quadro che interessa l'Italia, e su questi punti sono abbastanza preoccupati anche tutti i paesi europei. Un primo punto sicuramente è quello che riguarda la necessità di individuare delle regole che fissano anche eventuali che fissano l'effettività dell'applicazione, quindi che spingono la rendicontazione di sostenibilità verso l'obbligo, secondo i principi di proporzionalità, ma anche secondo delle regole che possono costituire un obbligo. E su questo, quindi, un discorso in questo momento aperto è quello di individuare un approccio che estende le sanzioni anche a livello penale già previste per la rendicontazione, per la contabilità, anche alle rendicontazioni di sostenibilità. Su questo proprio è tutto in discussione ed ci sta lavorando diverse istituzioni, tra cui il Consiglio Nazionale dei Dottori Commercialisti, che proprio recentemente l'11 aprile hanno presentato una lettera al Ministro dove vanno a individuare proprio questa esigenza di fissare i punti essenziali, quelle della vigilanza sulla rendicontazione di sostenibilità e dell'obbligo attraverso la previsione delle sanzioni, come del resto già anche previsto è stato previsto finora per la dichiarazione non finanziaria. Io ho concluso e vi ringrazio.
Thank you very much, Monica. So you provide us a clear view about ESRS, also the situation for small and medium entities. Of course, we have the constraint of time now. Just the final message to remember that Diligentia is the program operator of the Get It Fair, you know, the ESG rating and reporting assurance scheme. And as a new, which is a very important information, which is consistent with the issue of the roundtable, that Get It Fair has been assessed as suitable for accreditation purposes by Accredia, but it has also received from IESBA the right to use the IESBA Code of Ethics in the regulations. So even accreditation bodies which are going to use Get It Fair program, they are subject to the same code of ethics applied to statutory auditors and to audit companies. Anyway, I guess that we have to stop it now. I'm just addressing to the president of Diligentia, Cesare. You know, if we have, I don't think we have more time now for discussion. I guess we don't have at all. So thank you very much to our speakers for your insightful views, your many critical issues that you were raising on the table. Thank you very much to attend this very interesting presentation of our speakers.